This is John for Global Traveler. Today I have the pleasure of talking travel with one of my favorite musicians, Tiffany. How are you, Tiffany?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, doing great. I'm here in London, having a
Wow. And how's the weather in London?
You know what? It's on and off today. It's a little bit of all of it. It's windy. I feel autumn in the air, which is one of my favorite times of the year coming. And it's sunny, then it pours down rain. So we're getting all of it today.
Well, it sounds like Chicago. I'm just outside of Chicago, and it's almost exactly the same as that. So, but let's get into it. We're here to talk to you about your upcoming food venture. Before we get into that, just a little bit of a background, if you wouldn't mind. I know you started when you were very young. You were 5 or 6, you were performing, but when you were 16 or so, you went on a national mall tour. How was that? How did you have the courage to do that as a 16-year-old?
Well, yeah, I mean, it really wasn't hard. I mean, as 16, we hung out at malls anyway. That was the time. I mean, in the 80s, the malls were huge. So prior to that, before I got my record deal, that was a very safe place for kids to be. It had the food court, it had the record store, it had all the cool fashion, shops like Charlotte Russe, which was my favorite. And it was a place to go to after school. It was a place to go to on the weekends. It depended on your mall. Some were, more elaborate than others. And again, it was just a time period where you can drop your kids there. They could hang out for a couple hours, and parents could go shopping in other directions or come and pick you back up in a little while. So, those things are phasing out now. Unfortunately, we're losing a lot of malls across the country, and actually globally, wherever I go. But when the mall tour was suggested to me, I had been doing clubs originally in New York. I'm an LA girl, born and raised in LA. And they flew me out to New York. I started doing some clubs there. The music was great. People loved it, but I wasn't even old enough to be in the club. So I couldn't hang out. I couldn't sign autographs. There was no association with me. And I almost lost my record deal because of it, because they were like, we don't really know what to do with her. She's a minor. So where would we put her to really build her fan base? And it was that A&R person from MCA who thought, they have mall shows, hair shows, fashion shows at the mall. Why not have live music? So when it was suggested to me, I again thought that makes sense. It's where my age group hangs out. And doing it was a lot of fun. At first, a lot of the retailers weren't tipped off that I was going to be coming and sitting in front of their store and blasting, music and dancing around. So, we had a little bit of angry store shop owners there for a minute. But as a kid, you're so resilient, you don't care. I just would let the adults figure that out and then go back and do my thing. And it quickly grew. But I think that was something for me as a entertainer that I really got to bond with the fans. It was there's just that time period for me where I got to sing, go hang out, walk the mall with all, the couple handful of fans that I made that day, go have pizza in the food court. And so I actually did make lifelong friends though that I still have to
Wow.
this day. So it was really a special time for me.
Were you able to enjoy the cities in terms of traveling, sightseeing at all, or were you just too busy performing?
I've always been somebody that likes to be in the moment of where I go. So if I have a chance to do things local, of course I got to rock the malls. But yeah, a lot of times I would take in some of the restaurants. I like to shop. So the mall tour made me a mean shopaholic. So you will still to this day see me rocking all kinds of shopping boutiques and things and go, where's the shopping at? Gotta check it out. Now it's where's the foodie at, but yeah, I mean, small business has always been my thing. So and local community has always been my thing because I think that's where you get to know your fans. And as I was traveling other places, being from California, which looks, the landscape looks a certain way, being from East LA, where there's, again, you have beaches, you have mountains, but traveling to other places that were very older towns. I remember the first time I went to the East Coast, it was different. Being in New York was like a city. I've never been in like a city like that. And then traveling out to places like Pennsylvania, where it has just an old world feel. There's so much history there. And you saw it in all the architecture. You saw it I mean, even some of the Italian communities, that food is off the chain, right? So, just finding different people with different ways of growing up. And it just made me feel closer to my fans, to be honest with you.
Well, now as a seasoned performer, do you sometimes coordinate your tours to hit certain cities where you want to visit?
I have to say yes. I'm finally getting it. I go, I want a vacation there. Let me see how I can pull off a show. And I'm branching out all the time. If it's not a music show, then again, now doing cookbooks, having more of a foodie life and a valid career. I take it now. I'm kind of earning those stars. I can do some food events there. And I'm just constantly thinking of ways to, you know, try different things for me as a person, take my family out on vacations with me, and of course, tap into those fans there. I mean, I was very lucky as an artist to have a global fan base. And there are still a lot of places that I've never been to that people buy my records and they love celebrating. I think we're low now and know who I am. So, my list is very long of places that I still want to get to.
So what would be a couple of those places?
Fiji. I definitely would love to go to Fiji. So my best friend in grade school was from Fiji, and I've always wanted to go there. Greece is up next for me. I definitely want to go to Greece. Spending more time in Italy, of course, that's part historical for me. That's also part foodie in me. I would love to just go there and take some foodie classes and get to know more people. And I'm coming for grandma's recipes. Those are the best. And just live in that food world. Definitely Oh, there's a lot of lists. I want to go back to Alaska. I just went
Wow.
back in COVID, but it's a very special place for me. It's where I actually did my first residency when I was
Wow.
9 years old. And my parents took me, and I just remember driving up from California. And it was the first time I really felt like I was cutting my teeth as a musician, and being on the road, if you will. And I didn't even have a record deal then, but it holds a lot of fond memories for me. And I did get a chance to go back in COVID and go back to Anchorage and go back to Kenai. But I would really love to go and just be there, half work, half vacation. I've met some friends there now, made a lot of good friends there. And so I'm a hippy dippy do. I'd love to just take in the nature and be able to just chill out. That'd probably be my vacation.
That sounds good to me. And now you hit number one, excuse me, you hit number one at a very early age. Did that sink in at that age? I'm sure now you could appreciate it. Did you understand the significance of that even back then?
Well, I think I understood it. I mean, I've never taken it for granted, but um, I just lived in the moment. It was never premeditated. Of course, it was a dream, but you say a lot of things and you hope that they happen. And what does that really mean? Uh, you know, I mean, I saw people that were, big inspirations to me, like Stevie Nicks and Pat Benatar and all of the bands that I love to buy their records. But what does that really mean in your own life? I mean, the star life that you read about, that you see on TV, you really don't know. And I think up until maybe recently, in the last maybe 20 years, we kind of kept our personal life a little on the back end, unless got busted or something, or wanted to be open about that. There was this wall of stardom, that it was all glamour, and all rock and roll and always that. And that was the persona. Since social media, we see them doing much more daily life things. So I don't know if I really understood what that meant to be a celebrity or to be successful. Um, I just knew what it meant to be on stage and how music made me feel. And then it's something, again, once you have that bond with your fans and people do love and embrace your music, to see your music through their eyes. And that's something that, is very magical. And I think that's why we do it, really. When I started, I was singing other people's songs, showing my voice and just kind of showing what I had. But when it's your music and people are really gravitating to the lyrics that you wrote, it's a whole other intimate thing. And it's just, for me, that's the excitement now. I, of course, love I Think We're Alone Now. I'm grateful for all the beginning. But when I write something and that's what they're gravitating to, it is really, it's a cool thing. I don't know, it's that deeper bond for me. It's
Sure.
like they're understanding what I'm thinking or what I've been going through.
Well, you live in the moment. You've spoken about that. So right now, in the moment, one of the things you're working on is Let's Food with Tiffany. I think it's
Yeah.
such a cool concept. Tell everybody what it's all about.
So Let's Food with Tiffany was started in COVID. And like all of us, I was scratching just to kind of be sane. I missed a lot of my family members who've passed away. It was very scary. I had, prior to COVID, a full tour planned coming off the back of the New Kids on the Block tour in 2019. And, things were going good. It was all going to be hurrah world tour, and I had a new album out, and just a lot of things that you work very hard to achieve. So I was in a very good place. And then, of course, right before, about a month before we were able to launch, there started COVID. And, we didn't know if it was a week, couple of days. It was just such a bizarre event, unlike anything we've ever experienced. And as it went on and on and on, of course, people were more and more afraid of traveling. A lot of the people that I had, all the shows, because I mean, it was a world tour, started to back out. Things started to say, well, this is getting a little serious, and we don't know how long. And so we're going to, postpone this to the back end. We're going to postpone it. And then it just kept getting more and more postponed until it was canceled. And that was really hard for me emotionally, because it was something I had really worked on even before I got the New Kids on the Block tour. I was working on this music, and that was always the plan. So that momentum, again, with everybody seeing me and riding on a high, you kind of can't get that back to some degree. Takes another minute to bring all that energy back up, as well as being scared, like all of us. I didn't, I was away from my family. You didn't know, you couldn't gather. It was just like unlike any other
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
And I really missed my dad and I really missed my grandmothers. And, I started cooking just to kind of comfort me. I started making my grandmother's recipes for my fiance and I. We were social distance. We were stuck actually in California. I didn't feel comfortable to fly back home. So we just kind of sheltered in place a little bit. And we were renting an Airbnb at that time. And so I just started cooking and I started sharing it a little bit on Facebook with my fans. I've always kind of talked about food with them. I've always loved to go, like we said, to local places, have a meal with them, find out where they eat. That's something I've been doing for years. And basically, I just started sharing it, and the response that I got to it was kind of a little overwhelming. They said exactly that. Oh, you've been doing this for years. You were on Food Network, and we loved you on Rachel Ray versus Guy. And they were like bringing all this stuff back to me. And I'm like, oh, I actually do have a cooking resume I didn't know about. Huh. Okay. And they were like, yeah, remember that recipe you shared long time ago? Well, we've been making that. And I'm like, you have? You've been making my Lebanese chicken, dish, because it was published actually in a cookbook. And that from celebrities, a bunch of celebrities, and it was the dish that I submitted. So, I mean, I'm finding all this about myself and my fans. So I started, throwing a little bit more out there. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to start something like a cooking club. And I started Let's Food with Tiffany. It was just, what do I call it? I don't know. What am I doing? Well, I'm not a chef, you know, and I don't really want the responsibility of saying, follow me. I know everything, because I don't. It's my love for being a foodie. I'm a foodie. I love to travel around. I love to taste things from high end to street food to, again, those grandma's recipes are the best. So that kind of spawned the title. Let's food together. Let's have fun. Let's hang out. And got the logo together and then started its own Facebook and Instagram. Feeling pretty good about that. And then just started building my community, which is now full circle, led to things called TIFF takeovers. So again, once we could start to, kind of social distance, come out and, really be amongst each other again. I was invited to come to Flagler Beach and St. Augustine and Daytona, and meet a girl who just contacted me on Instagram saying, I'm watching your cooking club, I'm watching your Instagram. I'd love to invite you to come out to Florida. We're just trying to build that confidence again. I work with all the restaurants here and just trying to build that community confidence again to come out. It's all social distance on the beach. That's a big word to say. But we want music, live music, and we'd be willing to, have you come down, house you for a bit, show some of your dishes off. So it was an opportunity for me to get in the kitchen with a lot of these chefs, and again, it was kind of out of the ordinary because we were
Absolutely.
outside, not in the kitchen, because there was all this protocol and rules and masks still and all of that stuff. So a lot of them were working on these outside makeshift kitchens, which, I'm a tomboy and I love adventure. So I thought, well, this is kind of cool. But the pressure was off, to be honest with you, because they were doing something that was different from them. I didn't feel like I was not bringing something because I'm a newbie. So I thought, well, we're learning together. This is a really cool opportunity and a great opportunity to make some friends. And I went down there and it's worked ever since. So we put together our first TIFF takeover, which is acoustic music and food. And so that kind of took off. It's a real show now. I'm doing them all over. I've just had my first one here in London last year and this year. We're doing more. We just booked more a couple days ago. So, we're taking it to Germany and other places. So it is growing. And I think people, that's what they want. They want more bang for their buck. It's a very intimate experience. Now, of course, I have my own spices. So we can work some of my spices on a plated dish that they want, or I zhuzh up with the chef, reworking it my way. Or now with the cookbook coming out, Pop Life, they can feature one of my dishes. So full circle there, as I was doing these TIFF takeovers, I was contacted by a chef in Vegas through a mutual friend who said, again, I would love to have you come down and do a TIFF takeover in Vegas. And we just got on, Chef Alicia and I, like a house on fire. Two girlfriends just loving food, talking stories. We're 80s babies, and just having the time of our life. So a real friendship there that led to, huh, what if we did a cookbook together? It would be called Pop Life. I mean, we were just thinking about it
Sure.
over a cocktail. It'd be called Pop Life, reworking 80s food, like all legit and zhuzhed up and plated for adult life now. And, wouldn't that be fun for the fans? So I started asking my fans about what did you eat? What were you serving in the UK? What did you eat? What was an afternoon snack in Japan? One of my besties is Japanese, and I was like, Misato, what did you used to come home to? Because I came home to pot pies, you know, or mac and cheese. I mean, my mom pretty much cooked. Uh,
Same.
but there was that gap before dinner, so you couldn't have too much, but you weren't allowed junk, you
Right.
know. So I always had pot pies or mac and cheese or, you know, even a hot pocket. My mom would, yes, she'd heat up a hot pocket. I got her to do that. But she used to make them fresh as well. So you know, I was like, that's what I was eating. And then I would always add a hot sauce. I've always been a spicy, spicy, spicy girl, being from East LA. There you go. So I was always putting salsa on everything or putting what we call tapatio, which is this, you know, chili that is, you know, classic California. Um, and that's kind of where I would take mine. So we started talking, Chef Alicia and I, and she was telling me about her 80s experience. I started interviewing some fans, and that was it. We just decided, you know what, instead of this just being an idea, this has to happen. So we've put together Pop Life the cookbook. We've been working on it now for 2 years primarily because of my schedule. I'm on the road all the time. That, you know, it was an idea. We started to birth that idea, put some recipes together, do a photo shoot, stall out. I go back out on the road. Chef Alicia's quite busy as well now. She's taking Vegas by storm, and just had her own marquee and all of these things. So had to wait a minute for her too. But once we could regather, it was like, I've now tested this and people really want it. And I'm even more encouraged to do this. And I have more experience and more stories from fans. So let's make it happen. So we've been on fire now for the last probably 8 months to get it done. Finally found a publisher, and now we have a deadline. So I'm learning what that means in cookbook world and author world because you know, I come from the music world, so I know what that's about, and it's
Sure.
not so different. So we have been working, you know, I call it cooking just as fast as we can, chill,
Nicely
and
done.
getting it all done, and it's ready to go. So our deadline is October 15th. We'll have everything. We're ahead of schedule, which is great, but it's more than just a cookbook. It really is travel stories. So you get to look at photos with me that I've never shown anybody that were my personal photos of me on the streets, trying food, being with fans in the hotels, little 80s go to backstories, to now. What, you know, what just going out on the road and seeing the things that I see, how I feed the band. I do this whole thing about, you know, feeding the band, basically. Cooking for the band is what I call it. I'm somebody who can't eat a lot of processed food, and yet my life is always on the go. But I have to rent an Airbnb every once in a while, and I just call it I'm cooking my food. And it's, you know, it's just cleaner food. I can't do a lot of salts. I can't do a lot of, you know, like I said, processed food. So, you know, the band is loves that actually. They really look forward to it. Now I have a lot of people with different dietary needs, and it's made me a better chef. It's made me
Sure.
learn more things. So I share all of that. But then again, now I've been working with some other chefs as well. So I'm a newbie. I'm still learning. And that's what, you know, I think the TIFF takeovers and my food club, Let's Food with Tiffany, you get to see. And then Pop Life, the cookbook, is really about those 80s foods all reworked. You know, we have some really cool recipes that are just a real nailed it wink back to those 80s. Remember this, you know, from wishbone dressing to crush.
Mhm.
Remember crush soda? So
Yeah.
I reworked that into a drizzle, a pomegranate syrup with crush reduction over a pulled pork, and it's lovely. So, you know, I mean, I'm just, again, I thought, what are my favorite brands that I used to use that were my mom in the kitchen and then became my life, staples in my life and things that I loved. And we use these products, you know, some we've worked all new, a new take on it. Because again, we didn't want to use just all processed. Why not have that flavor, but do it fresh now? So we've been just learning so much. And again, the Pop Life Cookbook is going to be out in March for pre-orders and hard copy out and doing book signings and everything in May of next year. So lots of cooking in my future, especially live on TV. I'll be doing all the whole, live on TV cooking for you and stuff like that, which I'm a little nervous, but I'm ready for. Uh, yeah, so full circle. I mean, I'm somebody that I love that this just was organic. It just came to be. It was meant to be. And again, now that I've had to really submit, my bios, my story, I see how this was always there. And I thank my fans for that because literally they were the ones going, yeah, you did a lot for Food Network and you did this. And you don't you remember you had your Lebanese chicken and you were talking about this on the bus or you were
Just a
talking.
fit.
I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. So, it's just a transition for me.
Well, you had me with zhuzh it up. I was sold right there, and I love the entire concept. And if you have one in Chicago, I certainly will be there. When your book comes out, really come back to us. We would love to do an update interview to promote the book.
Thank
I
you.
certainly will see you on the book tour. If it runs through Chicago, you'll definitely see me. I met you years ago at a celebrity convention, and I met you a couple of years ago when you performed in Schaumburg, just outside of Chicago.
Right.
And I will be at your October 3rd show in Des Plaines. I don't think you're doing a meet and greet, but I'll be in the audience.
Well, I probably will. It's probably just not added yet. But we spent a lot of time in the Chicago area. And of course, I did a cookbook prior to this with Tom Vrim, guitar foodie, and he's from Champaign area. So we did something at the Moose Lodge raising money for charity there. So we're going to circle back around in that area and continue on for Children's Miracle Network, book signing, cooking, and raising money for the kiddos. So we've got a lot of things planned in that area. I have a lot of Chicago friends. So yeah,
Well,
I'm
well,
looking
you will
forward
see
to
me
it.
certainly. Tiffany, it's really
Awesome.
been a pleasure. I've been a fan for a long time. I have to say, I really love this CD. I thought
Thank
it was
you.
fantastic. It's one of my, truly is one of my favorite music pieces that I own. I just loved
I
it.
appreciate that. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's a good one. The Color of Silence started it all. That was a little change for me in the style of music. I've always wanted to do a little more rock music, so that was kind of like the first turn of the corner there. And we've kept going. Now I think I'm just creating music that I love. I mean, we're doing a greatest hits next year, so tying that into Pop Life, the cookbook, and just giving all retro to the fans, and that's a great moment to celebrate. And then I've got some new dance singles coming out. So, but right now, like I said before when we started, it's autumn. It is the most creative time for me. And as the holidays start to approach us, I will be not just in the kitchen, but I will be in the studio creating whatever comes through me, which is a great place to be. So lots of new music on the horizon.
Can't wait. Before I let you go, tell everybody where they can find out the information about you. I know it's Tiffany Toombs, but if there's
Yes.
anything else,
So tiffanytunes.com for all things Tiff World, but you can also go to Let's Zen My Friend.com, which is some of the cooking adventures, some of the meditation adventures that we're having, and of course, Let's Food with Tiffany.com.
Tiffany, it's been such a pleasure. It really has. I have been a fan of yours for many, many years. You put on great shows. I look forward to seeing you in October, the day after your birthday, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
And again, thank you for your time. And please come back to us when your book is out. You got more food and travel stories. We're ready to hear them.
Awesome. I will see you soon then.
Thank you, Tiffany. You have a great day.
Bye, guys.